So let's transition to Vinland Saga. This is my favorite anime of the spring season. I'm so glad the Mappa staff were able to adapt 24 episodes of this season and not do like a 12 episode season, because this needed 24. Doing 12 would have been a disservice. So I am very happy of that. That was a great decision by Mappa to adapt 24 episodes, because wow, what a season. What a journey for Thorfinn's character. By far the best male protagonist of the spring season, and you could argue of just this year in general so far. His sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? His character development, I'll just go with that. His character development throughout season 1 and season 2, it's unbelievable. One of the things that it just hit me was when the last episode aired and he finally was able to reconnect with his family again. And they were in the house. He was telling them his story for the past like decade and so. And it hit me that, we watched this guy, all the stuff he's telling his family about, we literally witnessed it all. That just lets you know just how well written this story was. The fact that all the stuff that Thorfinn is telling his family, just his dad dying, him becoming a warrior, right? And basically chasing after Askeladd, challenging him to a duel and everything, losing all the time, overthrowing the king, being the guard of the king, almost he sliced, pretty much stabbed or sliced King Canute, not being able to get the revenge on Askeladd, going through that sort of period where he was a slave, right? And then finally being freed, stopping a war from ensuing. Like, it's so much stuff that has transpired with Thorfinn's character. And when they got to that part where he was talking to his family about it, it just made me realize, like, damn, we really witnessed Thorfinn's transformation from this killer, from this guy that is full of rage, to now a person that is trying to find peace, trying to find a solution without conflict, using your words instead of using your fist and using your sword and your weapon. It's just beautiful. Now, there's going to be people like, oh, it's not realistic. Oh, him stopping the war, talking to Jutsu, Naruto. Well, anime isn't supposed to be realistic. That's number one. And number two, the whole idea of the author writing that is to show a different way to go about resolving things. And what the author is basically saying is, it's pretty simple. It's really simple. 5-year-old could figure this out. It's the fact that, why not use your words instead of your fist to resolve a conflict? Why not come to a peaceful resolution? Why do we have to resort to violence as the first answer to everything? Why can't we have a conversation? Why can't we do that first before we go to all the way to killing one another? Why can't we go to a peaceful resolution and then reserve violence as the last resort? And I feel like that was the whole point of Thorfinn and Canute's interaction. Thorfinn had no agenda. All Thorfinn wanted was a peaceful resolution. Stop fighting. Stop trying to overtake this man's land. He didn't do anything wrong. You're the person that is trying to just take his land from him. For what? Because you need more money? Well, you can find a different way, a peaceful way of doing things. And I thought that that episode, I forgot what, I think it was like 23 or 22, whatever. That episode was amazing. It was beautifully done. The entire season, it was very slow paced. I'm not gonna lie. The farm arc, whatever, the first maybe 7 episodes, 8, 9 episodes. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, bruh, I get it. You want to flesh out Thorfinn's character. It's about Thorfinn at the end of the day. But man, at the expense of the overall story, I get it. You're doing a great job in sort of writing Thorfinn's character. But what about everything else? What about the progression of the overall story? And that was one of the criticisms I had, is that how slow paced it was. The fact that there wasn't a lot of progression. It felt like we're just standing in the same place, right? And it was just Thorfinn at the farm going through a midlife crisis mentally. Einar, I think that's his name, Einar or something like that. He was another character I really enjoyed. That first episode was just so tragic. I thought that was easily a top 3 Vinland Saga episode. That first episode was amazing. They did a phenomenal job introducing Einar's character, because I'm not gonna lie, I read like maybe 10 chapters of this and I was kind of bored. But that first chapter, I remember I read sort of Einar's backstory and everything, and I was like, damn, this shit is kind of sad. And what they did from just taking the story from the manga and then putting it in the anime, 10 times better. It looks incredible. The way that they did it, the art and the animation, the voice acting, all that stuff. From his family dying because of these Vikings that were taking over. I think it was the Vikings that were taking over or something like that. It was just breathtaking the way that the Mappa staff was able to adapt this, because I felt every bit of emotion just watching the tragedy that was ensuing for Einar's, his home, right? And it was getting taken over, and his family just died, and he became a slave, and it's just so much mixed emotions with that, and that really got me. Obviously, that got me like really invested into the season. I was already invested, but that episode, like that was just great. One of my favorite episodes, Vinland Saga, and what's her name? Oh God, that girl's name. I forgot. Hold on. Wait a minute. What's her name? Damn. Vinland. Hold on. Saga season. I know her name starts with like an A. I forgot her name, bro. Like, what's her name? Damn, where the fuck? Hold on, bro. Hold on. Let me see. Vinland Saga Season 2 characters. Give me a second, guys. Hold on, bro. That is not what I want to see. Where is the character? No, where is it? Arnade. Arnide? I think it's Arnide. I think that's how you say her name. Garder. Arnide. Alright. So Arnide. Her character. Wow. Just I didn't expect any of that to happen. Her character is tragic. It's just complete tragic. The way that the author writ her character, at first I was in disbelief. I was angry that the author decided to kill her off. I thought that wasn't necessary. But then I had to take a step back and realize something. One, she's a slave in the times, during those times. And the slave owner, yes, he was, he came across, oh, he's this nice guy, you know, he treats his slaves so well. But at the end of the day, he's the slave owner. And slave owners, it doesn't matter how they portray them, they're pieces of shit because they own people, don't pay them any wages, and they're forced to do his labor for him. So at that moment, that's when I realized, okay, I understand why he did that. Because he wanted to show that, A, no matter how nice the slave master may seem, at the end of the day, he's a slave master, a piece of shit. And he could do what the hell, back in those days, could do what the hell he wanted to because he owned those people for whatever reason. And I hated that she had to die because of it, but I understand why he did that. At the end of the day, this is not a series that is supposed to make you all joyous, all happy all the time. No, this series is realistic, it's tragic, it's a lot of blood, it's a lot of death, and I understand that. I understand what I signed up to. And seeing her getting beaten to death pretty much, I was sad. I was very sad, especially with what happened to her husband, Garter, I think that's his name. I think that's how you spell his name. Don't laugh at me. I know, listen, these names, they're weird, all right. Garter, I think that's his name. Where he died, he was a slave after her homeland, right? They were fighting for, I forgot what, I don't know if it was copper. It was something, right? And she told her husband, like, we're good, like, you know, we're straight. And he was like, you know what, let's get this stuff because it can make this our land even more valuable, even more rich. And them losing that war and him becoming a slave and her becoming a slave and their kid being taken away from them, it's just such a tragic backstory. And I just loved her character as well, and just the way that they were able to sort of present just her side and her vulnerability and all that other stuff. And she was pregnant with the slave master. What's his name? Damn, let me find his name. Where is that motherfucker? Cattell. Yeah, Cattell, right? She was pregnant with Cattell, and he beat her to death because she tried to run off. And you know, slave masters back in those days didn't like that when their slave tried to run off, especially a slave that he was fucking and he was pillow talking with. So her character was definitely very important for the series. It was kind of odd because it was like, okay, you go from Canute pretty much declaring war to Cattell's farm and all the other stuff. And then on a side note, we have her name Arnade and Garter and Snake going at it, right? And Thorfinn and Aner trying to protect her and stuff like that. We have that on the side as well. And then all of a sudden, um, Cattell comes back, beats the shit out of her because she tried to leave, and then we have the war and stuff. So it was weird, but it was still at the same time it was still great. But it was just weird how they just had like, oh, they came from this. Oh, here's this coming, and then all of a sudden, oh, then we have the war. Like, okay. Anywho, but yeah, Thorf. Like at the end of the day, her character was great. Ainer's just his interaction with Canute and him sort of coming to grips um with Arnide's death, right? That was another thing that I was very I was watching deeply because he was very stressed. He was angered as well. But Thorfinn again and again having the ability to just not resort to violence anymore because he understands that revenge doesn't solve anything. All it does is just create more conflict. Thorfinn really grew this season because at first, the couple of few episodes, couple of maybe 6 episodes, I was like, damn, he doesn't feel that interesting to me. But by episode 12, no, episode 12, I would say, that's when stuff started to really build for me and I started to really appreciate Thorfinn as a character. And I just loved it in general. The opening, oh my god. Season 1, oh no, excuse me. Part 1 of season 2, amazing. Part 2 of the opening was even better. The openings, the music was incredible. I loved the music of Vinland Saga, bro. They did such a great fucking job with the music. Hold on. I'll be right back. So yeah, back to what we was talking about. So yeah, season 2 Vinland Saga opening part 1 and part 2 was phenomenal. The music and everything was just great. I loved it. The the closing, great as well. The visuals, the aesthetics, I enjoyed. Specifically part one. I loved part one's closing. Like honestly, part one's closing, like that really gave me goosebumps. Cause it just you can kind of relate to what they're talking about, right? And it's in English, so I can understand what they're saying. And that part one closing, that music was great. Like the person who sang that, they sang their ass off. In part two as well, like they sang their ass off as too. So yeah, if I have to give a grade for Vinland Saga, I would give this season a solid 8.5. I do that because I just really enjoyed it. It's a really good season, a really good anime. I enjoyed the story. I thought that the reason I give it an 8.5 and not a 9 is because of the pacing. I felt like they dragged it out a little bit too much. It should have been a little bit more going on. Like I'm cool with like the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes, but wait until like episode 10 or 11 before things start to get popping. That's where you kind of lost me a little bit. I still enjoyed it though. 8.5 is still really good, but not really progressing that much in sort of the story until like episode 10 or 11. I gotta knock off some points for you. So 8.5 for Vinland Saga and 6.5 for Demon Slayer. So right now, Vinland Saga has the edge.